So, I'm going to continue with love, lust, and other stuff. And I'll continue to tell you guys about what they're telling me. So they criticize everything. So this is not AI. It's really like a critical group of people talking to me all the time and following me around. And they're violent also. And they're also emotionally violent. But I wanted to let you guys have an idea of what I'm really interested in versus what they would want me to be interested in. So I told you guys I'm just kind of going over this March 2015 Cosmo. Gwen Stefani's on the cover. This is, a great magazine. I'm going to list it on eBay. Please check out BargainBusterBin and the items I've listed on eBay. If you have any questions, feel free to ask about the items before bidding. You can make offers. A lot of the items are buy now, some are auction. So what they're criticizing is everything. But they said that this was supposed to be something that they always did to me, and they said they started when I was very young, which if you have an idea of how bad it is as I am now at 49, can you imagine when I was just a child, if these people did it this way, how bad it would have been? I do believe they did something similar, but I don't think they did it this way. And I think that the people who I know who are involved in my life, that's why they were out of my life, because they weren't good to me. They were abusive. And that's my point to them. I think what they wanted to make it seem like is that, hey, this was something so positive. No, it's abusive. And it's one thing for me to say, oh, it's abusive. It's another thing for other people to observe and say, this is a highly abusive thing. Not just physically abusive, but emotionally abusive. And to always be critical of somebody. The amount of time and energy they invested in this, and then they tried to cover that up by saying, well, it's AI. It's not really AI if you illegally invade my privacy, watch me do the same things every day for years, and then say, oh, you're about to do the same thing you did every day for years. That's not AI. And to keep throwing like ideas at me that you wouldn't take because they're not good enough, why would I take it? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to create a critical program and think that that benefits something. It makes more sense to take my ideas and give me your crappy ideas. Like, that's my point. I think that, like I said in a previous video, that they lack common sense and they should create AI for common sense. Nobody in the world would fall for well, we're doing this to criticize you, and that's why we're doing it. No, you're doing it to be abusive and to steal from me. Nobody would believe their version of life. And that's part of why they're upset that I'm showing you what I'm really interested in, because it makes more sense that my version of life makes more sense than theirs. And it makes more sense that if I'm reading these magazines and I'm working on my writing and I'm living my life, they wouldn't have to criticize me. I'm busy, So what would be the way to keep me from being busy? Oh, it would be to make me sick so that I'm not busy, and then you have a way of getting into my life. And that's my point. I think I'm addressing people who get life and get what reality is. They're addressing a fantasy. And I think when I'm doing the research and I'm looking up, like, what means does this technology show up? Like, where does this technology show up? It shows up in like fantasy sort of, videos and fantasy. So they're living in a fantasy world where I'm living in reality. And part of what I'm showing you folks is that when they're offended by these topics in this magazine, this is reality. And I mean, when I say it's reality, it's not just the writer's reality. It wouldn't be in the magazine if it wasn't other people's reality. So I'm going to touch on some of the topics in the magazine, and then I'll keep going back and forth and telling you guys about the gang stalking. So this article is about my boyfriend's secret addiction to sex. And as you know, I told you in a previous video that the names have been changed. He charmed her and his side pieces. And I guess, that's my point. As we're talking in this video about life, we're talking about things that women experience. This addiction is to gambling. This addiction is to drugs. That's life. So, your guide to the male brain. Okay. So, another thing about, men and what men are interested in. So, 91% of men are comfortable being asked out by women. So, there we are. The girls we hate for no reason. Why your ex's new girlfriend turns you from feminist to mean girl. That's what my gang stalkers started saying, oh, this was about jealousy. No, it's about money. I mean, again, I can't imagine how they thought people would believe that. It's always about the money. Especially with the people I know who are involved, it's always about the money. It always comes down to money. So, okay, bring your genius idea to life. Again, their genius idea wasn't to sit around and criticize a person. It was to harass, stalk, and steal ideas. So this genius idea that they had didn't turn out to be that great of an idea. And that's my point. When we're talking about people who sit around criticizing other people and spend all of this energy and time, well, they're not doing it just because they like it. They're doing it for something. See, find people to do what you're bad at. And I said this in another video. If you're sitting around and creating this technology to harass people, steal ideas, create AI, come up with fantasy worlds, then why would you include me? You would include, I don't know, other people. Well, I'm good at something they're bad at. So it's always, it's always easy to find the answer